this lecture, I will discuss a green manufacturing system model. So, we talked about one of the approach that we can start from unit manufacturing process level to process chain level, and we can use those process chains and flow lines to simulate a overall green factory. So, this was we are talking about factory. Another way to do is to do it other way around. We see the overall status of the factory. Anything that has to be assessed, one cannot improve unless he is able to measure that. So, assessing the present status is most important in green manufacturing. So, if I say a manufacturing strategy has to be there, manufacturing strategy for green manufacturing, this involves cost, quality, flexibility, and time is also one of the constraint. So, I am talking about strategy here. So, this strategy involves these factors. So, when one has to develop a model, one has to develop an approach for this, any improvement process starts from assessing the current situation. So, in the present model, the objective is kept to identify how green the system is. So, I will put here 4 steps. The first step would be identify the status, present status. Status or level. So, when the present status is identified here, then we need to have an improvement plan. And this improvement plan has to be implementation in the third step, and fourth step is maintenance or maintaining the present state. Maintaining or control. So, I will go step by step. In the first step, what we have, we need to identify the status. Now, in this case, I am trying to identify the status of my overall facility, my manufacturing concern. So, this is I am talking about system. So, what we need to see here is that do we have a culture in our manufacturing concern that is aware towards green manufacturing or sustainable development. I would put, do we have green culture here, and what is our waste level, what is our eco level, what practices we are doing. For this, a quantitative assessment has to be done. And how can we have this quantitative assessment for my overall manufacturing concern? We can have questionnaires, structured questionnaires. These are structured questionnaires. Then we can have green stream mapping. So, this is very similar to value stream mapping. And what is value stream mapping? Value stream mapping is a lean management method that is used to analyze the current state and it is used to design a future state for the series of events. And value stream mapping is actually a lean manufacturing tool, and this is also we are talking about green, we are more focused about green. So, the value stream is here green stream mapping. Now, impact analysis like we did, So what basically we are doing here? We are assessing the green level of a manufacturing concern. We are assessing the green level. That is what color we are. If I say the color is red, orange, yellow, green, at what state our manufacturing concern is. So in this case, we will have some assessment score. That will put my manufacturing concern into one of the box here. For example, if I say it is orange here. So we need to move to the next step from orange to yellow. So what are these structure questionnaires? The questionnaire is a set of printed or written questions with a choice of answers. It is devised for the purposes of survey or maybe some study. So in this case, what questions are needed to be asked? In case of assessing the status of our manufacturing concern, the question that may be asked may be regarding the energy or waste level or maybe green culture. For example, it may be asked that what are or how are the various energy systems being used. For example, energy systems there may be in the in manufacturing concern may be HVAC, then electrical supply. So how many energy systems are there and what part of energy is renewable, and how do you assess these, what are the energy metrics that are used? This kind of question may be asked. And also regarding work environment, it can be said that do we have a health risk assessment, and do we have a register that documents all the incidents or complaints of the workers. So these kinds of questions may be asked. Similarly, in case of water assessment or waste assessment, the question that may be asked is, do we have a sustainable drainage? What is the water efficiency? What is the water quality? And what are the pollution identifications here? So what is the status of maybe packaging? What is the culture? What is the worker? What are our workers or the participants doing to move towards green manufacturing? What is the status of cleanliness? These types of questions may be asked. So do you have ISO 9000 certification? So the final output here would be have is the status of our company. We will have some assessment score and we can find what is our status and what is to be done to move to next step. So the second step here is improvement plan. So how can we have this improvement plan? In this case, what we need to have, the assessment score which we had earlier would go as an input here. And with assessment score we have the present production plan. Now we can do LCA here, life cycle analysis, and maybe consumption analysis. Optimization may be carried out of the all available choices to do this production. Best practices may be chosen. This is optimization. Then what are the metrics we have here? The metrics may be time, cost, then eco impact. What will we have finally here is a green manufacturing improvement plan. For materials, improvement plan for materials, improvement plan for our energy, for processes, or maybe I would say technology here. So, what we did here, we actually develop an improvement plan for the areas to improve, and also this improvement plan has to have a order, that it should not affect the production plan here. So, the present production should not be affected much, and improvement steps may be added, or improvement initiatives may be there to move to next color. So, this phase is actually bounded by our production plan, the existing production plan, that planning development should be carried out at the operational level, machine level, process level, system level, at all the levels this planning has to be done. And the quantitative actions items with regard to material, energy, and the other consumption, other processes here, and final technology implementation and improvement plan is required here. The plan at this stage is at very initial stage. So, optimization process is there, and the objectives of the optimization is to just to move to next step, that is sudden change should not be there, it is not recommended, gradual implementation is required in the next step. So, what we can have in the next step is implementation. Now, in implementation, the output of the previous step would be an input to this. So, we have improvement plans. And this plan would be improvement plan for materials, improvement plan for energy, improvement plan for processes, improvement plan for, would even put technology here. What is essential here is smooth execution, that is gradual implementation has to be there. So, the performance matrix is would be here again time, cost, and eco impact. So, what would be the output? We had an improvement plan, we have implemented it through this one. Now, what are the tools? Certain like number of tools would be required here, some of which can be layout, a better layout, right? Layout, we can use some plant simulation softwares for this one as well. Then recycling plan, right? Then process control, like in process control, and we can have other green techniques. For instance, if water pollution is very high, we can use MQL or maybe cryogenic machining. Then what we'll have? We'll have machine level, process level, and system level green manufacturing. Here by in green, we can say that earlier it was at this stage. For example, the color was orange, now it is trying to move to yellow, or the color is lightened. In some of the cases here, in example at machine level, the improvement is better, it can move directly to yellow. In case of system level, for example, there is some intermediate color as here as well. So, a little improvement is there. So, this is our purpose here, to move to next level only. So, at these three levels, it can be implemented maybe separately or concurrently. But it is important that our production plan should not be affected. And balance between current system configuration and practices and those of the optimal plan that is obtained in the previous step, that should be maintained. That is, gradual transformation without affecting productivity has to be there. So, we will measure the green improvement degree at various levels here. Now, next step is to maintain our factory at the present level or the improvement level, I would say. Maintain, or I would even say keep it green. To keep it green, it is important to use tools like Kaizen or maybe Six Sigma, right? Those are aimed towards continuous improvement. Now, Kaizen here is change for better. Kaizen is change for better. Now, Kaizen is actually a technique that aims towards the continuous improvement of working practices and personal efficiency, etc. And these techniques need to be here. So, here we have green manufacturing or better product, better inputs here in terms of machine, process and system level. Now, here we need to maintain this new level, which is a green level. Now, if we maintain this, further we can move to continuous improvement. And we can have better policies or plans or guidelines to move to next color in further stages. Greener manufacturing. So, this is a kind of system model here, which is divided into 4 steps. First, we identify our status, then we make the improvement plan, implementation and maintaining it at the improved level. So, the important thing is that what type of inputs we have, what type of tools which are being used here. Questionnaires, green stream mapping, impact analysis are used to assess the present status, and we need to know what is the status of green culture, waste level, eco level, and then that assessment score which is obtained here, this assessment score would go to my improvement plan, and this assessment score and production plan both would go together to have an improved plan. In that case, we can use LCA to quantify consumption analysis, certain optimization, time, cost and eco impact are the factors which needed to be optimized here, and we will have a better plan for these 3 different levels: materials, energy and process. And this better improvement plan here is implemented using the implementation tools here, better layout. We can have transportation models, recycling plan, process control and green technologies like molecular and cryogenic, and we will have a better production, that is green production. Then that needs to be maintained here. So, this was one of the model. So, this model I read it from the work that was done by Deef, Donfled and Dengelico. So, these are the different research papers from which this model is adapted here. So, if we talk about the environment conservation activities, these can either be divided into 3 different steps here, that is number 1 is passive stage, number 2 is proactive stage, number 3 is responsible stage. Right, in passive stage what we have, we need to cope with the laws and guidelines, competition and customers. That is the initial stage only. In activities here, maybe meet the laws, regulations, compete with other companies, satisfy customer needs. In proactive stage, the mission or aim is defined, that is carry out its mission as a global citizen. Right, these are all given by RICO. They have defined the same kind of model. There is a different view to look over it. They said first the passive stage is there when only the stage is identified. Identify the status. So, that one is a passive state. Proactive state is improvement plan. And in responsible stage it comes implementation and maintenance. Now, in the responsible stage one have to simultaneously achieve environmental conservation and profits. So, when we talk about practical implementation, the responsibility is to keep the balance between environment conservation and profits. So, this is the responsibility here. So, with this I will conclude this lecture and I will come up with some other green manufacturing techniques in the forthcoming lectures. Thank you.